Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, March 24, 2021. I'm Joe Paul, the local president. Bear with me today because I have a handful of things to talk about. First, we're going to talk about Lakeland bids. We just found out the other day that the 4 bids, which I thought were already posted, were not posted. So I had to go to the plant manager, the postmaster, the MPU, and I had to go to the district to make sure that they were taken care of. So they should be posted today. And they had to put that in a little special, but we haven't posted. What there's going to be is 1 at the main post office, 1 downtown, and 2 at Southside. So be looking for those. Make sure you bid on those jobs. What we're starting to see in the Orlando bid cluster is where the Postal Service is starting to hand out disciplines for latenesses, 0.09 and up. So remember, 0.09 and up, they're counting as lateness or tardies. Those count as 1 occasion, similar to just calling in for 1 day. So I just want to let you know that. They count the same. If you ever feel threatened in the workplace, always file a threat assessment. We do 2 or 3 of those a week. We see them being done by employees. We don't personally do them, but the employee fills it out with management. Then it goes to the district and they research it. But if you feel threatened in any way, you need to make sure you fill something out. As I mentioned on my president's report a week or so ago, we're up to 375 conversions so far, and we're going to see more upcoming, probably within the next month or so. The liberal leave policy has been extended, as well as employees requesting leave due to COVID. It's going up through the middle of June, maybe the later of June, but that's what's going on with that. So if you're sick like that, they can't really count that. If you say it's liberally or COVID related, it shouldn't count against you for any discipline. Discipline is on the rise in our local. Remember, we have 3 plants, 102 offices, so we do see a lot of discipline, but it's on the rise. AWOL is a big thing. It's usually attendance, but AWOL. So if you're not planning on coming to work, you got to call in. Call into the ERM system. If you don't, you're going to have AWOL, and that's very problematic. So if you're going to call in, make sure you call in. Another big thing we're seeing out in this customer service stations or branches is the pass machine. A lot of people that are listening to this maybe don't know what that is if you're working in a plant, but it's a big scanner where people hold the packages under it and it tells the route. Well, you got to make sure that you change the date before you start it that day. It's important because a lot of people are not doing it, which delays the mail, which goes to district, comes back to management, then they're given IIs and discipline. We're fighting that, but still you have to make sure you do that. MVS and VMF still having problems with subcontracting. We've got so many grievances in the system now. A lot of them are certified for arbitration. We believe we can do the work for less money. And so we want to keep the work in-house. All the work, really, in all of our crafts. Clerk, maintenance, motor vehicle, VMF, we want everything. So that's what we fight for. The maintenance department in both plants having issues, mostly in Orlando PNDC. We're challenging every reversion that comes up. We're fighting to preserve every job, and we're going to go over every job and fight for every one, because we believe we're trying to establish, through the staffing package, that there are additional jobs out there in all different occupational groups. So we're not just laying back, although we get the staffing packages, a new approved authorized package, and it looks like, hey, they're doing good. We don't believe that. We believe with all the overtime and the people being moved around that there's obviously room for more jobs. So we're trying our best to fight those. Most of our associate offices, level 18s through 22s really, it goes up to 24s, through 22s are pretty quiet lately. We have a few obstinate postmasters out there. You know who they are. They're problematic, but we're constantly fighting with them. As I mentioned before, and I'm still getting questions about the expediters, or TMEs they call them, in both of our plants in the Orlando PNDC and Seminole. Now you're reporting to logistics. But remember, that does not change anything with your overtime, your holiday, your vacation, your bids, nothing like that. Any clerk job that goes up in your installation, you can bid on it. Just because you report to a different supervisor for different things doesn't stop you from having contractual bidding rights in your installation. So remember that. Let's see what else. And your seniority obviously stays intact. In our level 24 post offices, Lakeland, Kissimmee are the 24s. The plants are higher, and then we have all the rest of them. We have some problems with short staffing. Now, I was down in Kissimmee today, Vice President Bob McSorley and I, but we have some problems there. We finally were successful. We're having 2 part-time regular custodial jobs coming in, 1 transfer full-time regular custodian from Minnesota, and they're hiring 5 PSEs. That should take some of the heat off of you guys. And in Lakeland, the same thing. We're having people, I'm being told in the last few days, that our non-overtime desireless employees are working 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. We're having a problem with that. I think a lot of that was due to the fact that I found out that management didn't post the jobs like they were supposed to. We had something from them saying they were being posted, and I found out from a couple employees that they were not posted. So they're going to be posted, supposed to go up today, the 24th of March. Remember, 1 downtown, 2 at Southside, and what is it? I said 1 downtown, 1 at the main office, and 2 at Southside. Now, Southside, every time we get a job there, people go there, people are bidding out as soon as they can get there because they're forcing them to work 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they're not on the list. One of the things that we want to talk to you about, which we're very successful in a lot of offices, what you need to do is every time, now a lot of times clerks, and we know this, clerks, are overworked and management's helping them work and they don't say anything about it because it helps them get out of the job earlier. Well, that's a problem, really. Because if you let management continue to do your work, or rural carriers, or city carriers, or CCAs, that's bad news because now all of a sudden it's going to look like all the work's getting done. They don't need additional help. They don't need additional bodies. But if you see them doing your work, you need to talk to management and tell them to stop. If that doesn't stop, you request a steward and we'll grieve that. Management or nobody else other than our clerks should be doing our work. Same with custodians. They shouldn't be doing our clerk work either. And now all of a sudden, we don't want them able to delay, but if it does delay because management shouldn't be doing our work or other crafts doing our work, that's going to demonstrate that they need friggin' jobs. That's what we want. We want more jobs. That way the people not on the list maybe won't be forced to work. Maybe a Southside's a nice office, but nobody wants to go there because they're having to work them to death, really. We don't like that. So that's a problem there. In a lot of our other plants, a lot of people want the overtime. And a lot of places people want the overtime, but a lot of places they don't, and they're being forced. And we're going to do what we can. Now you hear that they had the Function 1 scheduler a couple years ago, and that's not around anymore. People talk about, well, let's get a Function 4 scheduler, which means where they bring a team of postal people in, and they go to some of the stations and branches, or the associate offices, where they have carriers and window clerks and things like that. Well, don't fool yourself. The role of a Function 4 is not to create more jobs. Their real role is to try to reduce jobs and reduce hours. So make sure you remember that. That's important to know because they're not really your friends in that situation. They're just looking to reduce hours, reduce work, and they don't mind management doing your work. But remember, if they're continuing to do your work and you're not challenging it, it's hurting you. And let's see what else we have. And that's pretty much about it. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more the next time because we're still in the process of getting more information about the American Rescue Plan Act, which is similar to the the Coronavirus Response Act, that one, similar to that. We're going to have a lot more information on that, and we're going to wind up seeing people get paid for having COVID-related issues. So thank you for being members of the American Postal Workers and proud members of the Central Florida Area Local. Thank you.